I want to talk about more about the sixth chapter of the first division of Heidegger's Being and Time, and I want to talk about something that is discussed in the sixth chapter, which is care. What he discusses what's called the care structure, and I want to elaborate on what the care structure is. I have a video which is about the whole sixth chapter as a whole and what goes on in it, and another overview on it. But in this video, I want to discuss the care structure and what that means, and what that is in itself. Kind of drew a diagram a little while ago at the beginning of this book. Drew a diagram here, another one here. So kind of all about diagrams when it comes to Heidegger. As you know, care is concern for things going on in your being of the world. So being in the world and Dasein are pretty much closely related in that they have to do with being there, your being in the world. That is at the root of who you are, and that you are here, and that the world is here. And being in the world and Dasein both relate to ontology, because he is trying to create a fundamental ontology and trying to unravel this mystery of being, to uncover the meaning of being. And Dasein and care both relate to reality, in that care is at the root of the being of Dasein. It's very, very fundamental to it. And the reality of what Dasein thinks and feels has to do with care. And care relates to Befindlichkeit, or thoroughness, Verstehen or understanding, and Verfallen or fallenness. Now, thoroughness or Befindlichkeit is thoroughness, which is how you find yourself, or how one finding oneself, and that's kind of relating to how one is and how one finds oneself with relation to one's projects and all that stuff, and how one is sort of a part of the world, and in the world, so to speak. Verstehen has to do with understanding about your activity, or your situation, and what could possibly come, and how you could transform, and how you can comport yourself to certain things to make things happen. And Verfallen is fallenness, or immersion in the world, and that's your average everydayness. And Befindlichkeit relates to worldhood, as does care and Verstehen. And Verstehen specifically relates to worldhood, and Verfallen relates to, well, worldhood and being with and being in. And this all relates to the relation between effectivity and potentiality. Effectivity is your current situation of the way things are now, and potentiality is how things could be given your comportment to things in a certain way, how you could transform your life towards better things or even worse things. And care also relates to a state of mind or a mood, and can even further relate to the idea of anxiety. One's care for something can relate to one's state of mind, and how one feels about something. So the care structure has to do with how care is related to being itself, and thoroughness, and understanding, and fallenness, and all of these different things, and freedom itself too. And freedom, I talked about in more detail. Freedom is something that possesses outside. Man doesn't possess freedom. Freedom possesses the man. And one seizes freedom by recognizing things as they are, rather than trying to live a life that is fleeing away from the way things actually are. And that's kind of the care structure, in that how having a concern or care for things is at the root of being itself, and how that can relate to all these other different things. So if you have any more questions, or if I should elaborate more on something, let me know in the comments below. Thank you.